PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, the first live daily photo show on YouTube, on photo, on video, on streaming, on things, and I just lied to you already. I said daily, and you know what? I've been talking about changing up the format a little bit, and I've decided what I'm going to do. I wanted to go to fewer days a week live so that I can have time to do more edited stuff, and that's the plan, and that's what we're going to try starting this week. And I was having a really hard time figuring out what the schedule would be. I was gonna, I want to do 3 days a week, and obviously it would be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But my Friday days were reserved for going out and doing stuff. So is it Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday? How do I do that? And finally I decided, you know what, this whole me leaving the studio and doing things on Friday is not really working out so much anyway. So, and I can still do that, but I am going to do now Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Those are the live shows, which means no live show on Tuesday or Thursday. With any luck, I will be releasing a edited video, at least one per week, maybe even more, but let's not get carried away. We're going to shoot for one to start with, and I'll take those other times that I'm not doing the live to really be able to focus on that. So that's my current plan O action. Mondays will be either Q&A, like today, addressing questions that have come up in the comments that are bigger questions than I can answer in a line or two, or B, the AMA, the Ask Me Anything, because that's been fun. I've actually really enjoyed that. And if for whatever reason I just don't feel like doing an AMA, or there's no good questions or whatever, then maybe I'll do a behind the photo. I did a few of those a while ago. I haven't done one in a while, and those are kind of fun. So, but it's either Q&A or AMA, and then as a fallback, a behind the photo. So that's Monday. Wednesdays will either be a normal show, so hey, we're going to talk about product X or feature Y, or the podcast. So I still don't have the whole podcast back end set up. I need to finish that. Hopefully I can do that this week, and then we can get into a rotation of doing a podcast regularly, but we're going to try that and try every other week. And I might end up adding that in as a weekly thing and maybe even doing it on a different day, but we're going to start with not getting overambitious and just doing every other week. And then Friday will be a normal show, which is most likely going to be in here, but could be out in the field. Who knows? Just kind of depends on what's happening. So that's the new schedule as it is as of this morning, and that's what we're going to go for. And hopefully it's going to work out well. So I like that. I think this is good. I think the problem is that obviously the live videos are long. Clearly, it's a live show. And a lot of people don't want to watch long videos. I get that. You're looking for how to do X on your camera. You find one of my videos, you look at it and you go, this thing's 40 minutes long. So we're going to insert the edited pieces. So that is the plan. So now that I've told you all what the plan is, let me see who's here this morning. We have a good live audience. So let me get this screen set up so I can see a little bit more of what's happening here. And we've got Dave Dill Studio, Carlos Mann, Balek, Extender, all kinds of people. ICE, good morning. Black Duck, Burns Tech, howdy. Carlos is saying it's a multicultural show. It's always multicultural. I love that. Just Simply Brandon, good morning. Oh, and look, I can do this again. Wait, oops. Get the right setup here. Yes. So I got this back. Let's switch back to 24p. Just got off work, so I'm free to wait as long as needed. Oh, isn't that sweet of you? By the way, what are your thoughts on the new GoPro Hero 6 Infusion? I haven't, I don't know. I don't have a thought because I don't know anything about them yet. But I will check those out. Very cool. Hello to Frankfurt. Bonjour. Excellent. Sounds actually pretty good. People are saying, yeah, now that I'm back on this, I don't have that echo in my own ear. So that was something about the way that mic is configured. So I'm going to have to figure that out. Rob, Michael, good morning. SR Digital, it's not interference from all your GH5s, is it? You're giving me grief because I now have 2 GH5s. So, yeah. Yes, all those GH5s causing interference. That's funny. Extender, thanks for the tip on the Spiderlight belt strap. Oh, good. You got one ordered and looking forward to test it. I love it. I don't have the belt clip part on it, but this is my standard go-to. I really enjoy this thing. I think it's a very convenient way to carry the camera around. By the way, last week when I was on my trip, I shot almost exclusively for a vlog entry. I'm going to now try and edit this into something sensible with the 8-18. I really liked it. I also put a variable ND on here so that I could shoot more wide open when I wanted to in dark and light situations. I just put my finger on the filter. Don't do that. Digging this lens though. Really liking it. I think it's a good choice for vlogging. So I'll give you a little bit more info on that later. Burns Tech. I'm always having an argument with myself. Burns, you should know that by now. Hello from Appleton, Wisconsin. Trevor says, I say that 2017 is crazy. We're constantly tied up in all manner of cables. Everything should be wireless. Amen. Wouldn't that be nice? That's good. You should have seen, well, I think you probably saw, if you saw the behind the scenes on Thursday before we went live at IBM, and I showed you a little bit of the room. If you saw, the floor is just covered in cables. It's ridiculous, but that's just the way that it is. Hello to beautiful San Antonio. Excellent. Michael in Los Angeles, from Zoos Angeles. Zoos, is that like Los, but Zoos Angeles? I'm not quite sure. Angels Camp, California, all over the place. You sent me a link for the good in-ear monitors. Oh, thank you, Marvin. I will look for that email. Hello to Amsterdam. Love it. Love it, love it. Audio is not clear, but audio is good now. I think we've got it. Mic is better. Yeah, it was because the mic thing was before. It's because it was a different mic. I was still setting it up. All right. Let's move into the actual show, shall we? John Morby, Sennheiser AVX ME2 are $300 off at B&H today only. Oh. Is that the, which one is that? Hold on, I'm going to look this up because that's kind of exciting. People who are watching live might want to know these things. It's at B&H. Come on, B&H. The AVX ME2. Let me see which one that is. AVX ME2. ME2. That's weird. AVX ME2. Oh, AUX. RØDE. AVX. Which, ooh, it's those. Oh, really? Here we go. Whoa. Okay, guys, this is a serious bargain, folks. Look at this. It's $400 off right now. No, sorry, $300 off for a total of $400, down from $700. This is the Sennheiser. I love the Sennheiser mic. This is the one with the new receiver, the new antennas, the little block antennas instead of the wiggly ones that do tend to break after a while. That is an incredible price. Okay, if you're going to do this, we will put a link to this down below. That'll be an affiliate link. If you're going to buy one today, please do use that affiliate link. I would really appreciate that. But that is a huge deal. Now I got to see if I can jump on this myself. Ends in 11 hours. Look at that. Okay, that's a hell of a price. That's epic. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. John Morby, that was John that did that. That is a fantastic deal. Thank you. $300 off. Wow. It's almost half price. That's ridiculous. Okay. Well, there you go. That's your deal for the day, for sure. Bollock is asking, says he saw that I had a chance to check out the Metabones and Sigma combo. It looked great. I haven't reviewed the footage other than just playing with it on the camera. One shot that I looked at, it looked soft around the edges, which was kind of odd. So I really got to dig into this and see if I had the right combination and all that. But just off the top of it, it was crazy cool to have that lens came out at an aperture of f.95. And so if I do the math right, like my 51.2 comes, so what was it? Hold on a second. If I understand this right, it's the 0.64 converter, so I just go with 1.2 times 0.64, and that's a 0.768, which 0.768 aperture on the Micro Four Thirds. That's pretty cool. So I am excited to play with that quite a bit more. I think it's a good thing. All right. All right, let's just get into the show, shall we? We must get into the show. See, I told you about the schedule. Oh, I was going to tell you the little story behind the drone thing. Then we'll do the Q&A. So if you're watching this not live, by the way, and you're kind of like, okay, just get to the questions, scroll down. I'm not going to break these questions out into separate videos, but there'll be time code down below you can click on to take you to the question that you came here for, if that's in fact what you are here for your question. So I was flying the drone, my little Spark, in a place I probably shouldn't. Okay, I know I shouldn't have been, but no one told me not to, so I figured, ask forgiveness, not permission. So I was at a hotel. I'm not going to say which one because don't want to get in more trouble than I already am. Actually, I'm not in trouble yet, but I was at a hotel and got into this area, this beautiful area, and you're going to see the footage, you'll figure it out probably, but anyway, in this beautiful area, and I just did a little drone flight. There was nobody there. We got let in by a gardener who we didn't want to get in trouble and tell him how we got in there. And we're in there, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm going to fly the drone here just for a couple of minutes. There's nobody around. So we flew it up and down just like 2.5 minutes of flight time, I think is what it came out to be. That's it. When it landed, I caught it in my hand as I always do, and I don't know what happened, if I just got distracted or what, but I stuck that finger right into the blade, and I was bleeding all over the place. Anyway, so the drone's, it hits that and flies off, so it crashes, but it's fine. Well, I haven't tried to fly it again, but I think it's fine. Pack it all up, now I'm bleeding all over the place. Let's go to the bathroom and wrap my finger, clean my finger, wrap it up. And we come out, and there's a security guard who runs into us, and he goes, were you guys just flying a drone in here? And I've got my little Spark in its case, in the black case, under my arm. Now, obviously, if you've never seen it before, you have no idea what's in that case. But I'm holding the drone in my hand. And I say to the security guard, and I swear this is exactly how I said it, I go, no? And he looks at me and says, oh, okay, we're looking for a couple guys that are just flying drones. And I'm thinking, okay, either this is the dumbest security guard in the world, or he's cool and he's just letting us off with it. I'm going to go with option 2. And then my buddy, I was with my friend, he goes, how do we get out of here? Because we honestly were like, no idea how to get out of this place. We got kind of locked in. And he goes, oh, well, we have to take the elevator. I'll go down with you. I'll take you down, show you how to get out. And I'm thinking, I want to get away from this guy as quickly as possible before he either changes his mind or figures out that that is a drone in my pocket. And so I go, oh, there's this whole roof thing. I go, oh, actually, you know what? Hey, I want to go check out the roof thing. Well, I can go up there, right? And he goes, yeah, I guess you're a guest at the hotel, right? Yeah, I am. Okay, well, I guess. So I take off up the stairs. My buddy's right behind me. We're running up the stairs. We pass 2 more security guards who are looking for us. It's like, hi. Don't fly your drone in hotels where you're not supposed to. Just little top tip there. Okay, let's move on to some questions here. That was the fun of the day. Let me see if I can find my questions. Where did I put them? And hopefully I'm prepared to answer all of these. I think I am, but we're going to find out. Okay, there we go. Question number 1 from O Show Production says, hi, Joseph, my new favorite YouTube channel. Well, you're my new favorite viewer. I just bought a Vedra 50mm mini prime, but then had to return it as the focus ring is really tight. You can't focus without moving the camera. Okay, so that obviously is a problem. If you're trying to like moving the camera, that's not good. I have not used one of the Vedras before. I have a Zhongyi lens, which is another third-party manufacturer, all manual lens. And when I bought that one, the focus ring was quite stiff. It wasn't that stiff, but it was definitely stiff. However, it loosened up, softened up over time. It also even had a little hiccup. At one point, as you're focusing, it kind of bumped. It was like something was not stuck in there, but I would say the lens grease was maybe just clumped up a little bit. Didn't take long at all for that to smooth out. Now it is a super smooth focusing lens, so hopefully just a little bit of time would break it in, and that's all that was needed. Doesn't seem to matter though, because he then goes on to say that he had to return it. I think he said he returns it. So I like to rack focus a lot, and I do run gunning style videography, and I don't have the time to stop and do it in camera. I totally get that. Can you suggest a Cine lens or other Panasonic lens with a really smooth, easy to move focus ring? I'm used to my Panasonic HMC 130 focus ring, which is smooth as silk. I'm looking at the Nocticron you reviewed. Was the focus ring smooth? By the way, love your GH5 training. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so when it comes to smooth focusing, I can say that especially the Leica build lenses, when you get into the Leica build lenses, it is really smooth. This is the 8-18. This is a butter smooth lens. It has very nice resistance to it, so it's not sloppy. It's not turning too fast. I would be very confident using this for any manual focus situation where I'm pulling focus manually. That said, keep in mind that all of the Panasonic lenses are focused by wire, meaning that there's no mechanical ring connected from this ring to the actual focus moving. So I can spin this indefinitely, and when I get to the closest or farthest focus position, the ring keeps on turning, even though the lens elements no longer are. The advantages of this type of focus are generally things like focus acceleration. As you spin the knob slowly, it kind of really slows down to give you slower focus. If you crank it really fast, it will quite quickly, rapidly go through its focus distance. But I know that that is not ideal for a lot of people, especially for cinematography type shooting, where they would rather have something that's more mechanical and controlled. That said, while I certainly appreciate a totally mechanical focus ring, I've gotten used to this focus by wire, and it's never been a problem for me. So this 8-18 has beautiful, beautiful smooth focus lens. That 42.5 Nocticron he asked about, absolutely a very beautifully smooth focusing lens. That is one that definitely focuses more slowly by turning. Because it's such shallow depth of field, it's really designed for kind of that critical focus, being able to really kind of dial it in carefully. Because that's such shallow depth of field, I think it feels like it takes longer to focus from the closest to the farthest distance than most other lenses. So that might be something to consider. I would definitely say try it out before you buy it, and make sure that works for you. But it is absolutely a smooth focusing lens. Again, when you hit the Leica lenses, that's where you get the smoothest focus. Excuse me. Not to say that the other ones aren't smooth, but the Leica ones are notably smoother, bit better resistance, bit smoother feeling in the hands, really, really nice. You go to the really cheap lenses, maybe some of the kit lenses, probably not so good, but getting into the mid-range to the higher-end lenses, I think you're going to find they're all very, very nicely controllable, very nice control feel. So hopefully that helps answer your question. Okay, next comment is related to the Mevo, and Michelle Lewis says, wow, yours looks so much better than mine. With either Wi-Fi or data, my zoom-ins were blurry as heck. So I don't think, Michelle, that has anything to do with your connection. I think it has to do with zooming in too far. So the Mevo, remember, is for those who aren't familiar with it, is an all-in-one camera and streaming device. You pair this with your phone, and I've done a bunch of shows about it and a bunch of shows with it. And you essentially can go live to YouTube, Facebook, whatever, with a few taps. It's a remarkable, tiny little device. And the way that it works is it's a single lens that is shooting in 4K, but it doesn't transmit 4K. It transmits either 1080p or 720p. The cool thing about it is you have this wide shot, which you can then punch into to make different camera angles. So you've got your wide shot, and then you could do, let's say I was doing an interview side by side with someone, I got my wide shot, and then I do a close-up on subject 1, a close-up on subject 2, maybe I have another close-up on what's on the table. Now the camera is obviously not moving, right? You're not repositioning the camera, it is just a wide shot, and you're saying, show me just this, just this, just this. By default, so a little bit of history on the device, it used to stream only 720p at the highest resolution, now it does 1080. And as far as I know, I don't think that was a hardware change, I think that was just software change. When you go into the settings, there is a default maximum zoom for the setting. So when you double tap on the screen, I'm pretty sure it's double tap on the screen, and it zooms into a crop shot, how far is it going to go by default? And as I recall, when I first was playing with it, the default was set to go 3x, 3 times in. Well, 3 times in is fine if you're doing 720p. 3 times in is too far if you're doing 1080p. So if you're doing 1080p, think about this. Your 4K or UHD signal is exactly 4 times the data, twice the width, twice the height of a 1920 by 1080 footage shot. So 1920 wide, 1920 wide again, that's 3840, that is UHD, Ultra HD. 1080 wide, 1080 wide again, that is 2160, that is Ultra HD. So if you're broadcasting 1080p, you only want to punch in to 2x. You only want to punch in so that you're taking a true 1920 by 1080 piece out of it. If you go farther to 3x, then you're going to be scaling up. You're basically taking a 720p piece and scaling up to 1080, and that is definitely going to give you some smoother images that aren't going to look as sharp, as clear, as in focus, and so on. So make sure that your setting is not all the way up to 3, bring it back down to 2, and I'll bet that your stream is going to look a lot better. You don't want to scale up that stream. If you need to push in that far, that's the shot that you need, then drop your stream down to 720p. Don't stream at 1080. But my advice would be go 1080, go to 2x, and you should be good to go. So hopefully, Michelle, that helps. RespireFit says, what do I need to use the Panasonic flash off camera for the GH5? Do I need a transmitter on the GH5 and on the flash? What products would I need, or would you recommend? Okay, this is a great question. So if you are using Panasonic strobes, so the 580, 360, I think is the other model number. There's a couple of them. I think 580 is the big one though. The Panasonic strobes have built-in wireless capability. They can be triggered wirelessly by either another Panasonic strobe or by a Lumix camera that has a built-in flash. So this is one of the things that we lost when we went to the GH5. We lost the built-in flash. The GH4 had a little pop-up flash on it, and I remember when I first saw the GH4 thinking, why in the world is this pop-up flash on there? I mean, come on, really, who needs a pop-up flash? That's kind of the most useless thing on a professional-grade camera. And then I realized, oh, it's really there because that will act as a trigger for the bigger strobes. Unfortunately, we lost that on the GH5, so if you want to trigger an external strobe and use TTL, use the whole automatic system, you need to have another Panasonic flash on here. Now, that on the surface sounds like a bad way to spend a lot of good money, and that would be true. But you don't have to buy the big 580 flash as a trigger. You can buy the smaller 360, I think that's the right number, we're going to pretend that it is, and we'll put links to all this stuff down in the notes down below. The 360 is a cheaper, I don't remember the prices, I'll let you guys look that up. It's a cheaper flash, and that's a good way to go, but you can get even cheaper still. So let me just do something real quick here. I'm going to pull up a web page that I want to show you. I did an article quite a while ago, which has turned out to be quite a popular article, about using the little mini flash that is included with the GX8. And you can use that to, is that right, the GX8? No. LX100, sorry, came with the LX100, and you can use that on any Lumix camera to trigger a bigger flash. And you can buy these little flashes on the cheap. So let me, where's my search? I'm on my site now. Here, let's just do this. Let me go full screen here. So I'm looking at my website. So this is PhotoJoseph.com. The way you can find this, go under More and hit Search, and type in, let's just try GX8, because that's the camera that I used for the demo. And there we go. And you're going to find this article. This is what you're looking for: off-camera wireless flash photography featuring the Lumix GX8. So in here, see this? Let's let the page load. See this tiny little flash sitting up there? That is the, there we go, there's a better picture. That is the one that comes with the LX100. In this video, or in this article, I put it on the GX8, but you can certainly put this on the GH5. To be fair, I have not actually tested it yet, but there's no reason it shouldn't work. And so here I was triggering flashes, 2 different 580 flashes, and controlling them entirely from the camera. So here you get your full wireless TTL setups. You got your A, B, and C group. You can control them individually. You can set them to TTL or manual. It's super, super cool to be able to do this. You see, like here, I dropped the B group down to -1/3 stop, and you see that got darker from the previous photo, and so on and so on. So what you're looking for is this flash here, the Panasonic flash called, here we go, the DMW FL70 flash from the LX100. I have a link on here from Amazon. I don't think you can get this at B&H. Uh-oh. Ooh. Okay, we're going to have to, oh no, good. Whew, came back. Here we go, $50. So you can see all these options in here to buy this little part. It's only $50. So this is a great way to trigger your flash if you want to do that without having to invest in a whole separate flash. So hopefully that is the right answer to the question that you're looking for. Now, there are third-party units, and if you don't want TTL, you can use pretty much anything. You can use any kind of radio trigger. Radio triggers, obviously, you don't have to have a line of sight. They can be anywhere. You get better range, but you're going to be full manual unless you're going full-on Pocket Wizard solution, which is fantastic. You get wireless and TTL, but they're a lot more expensive. So there's lots of options out there. But if you're just looking to use the Panasonic native flashes with TTL, that's going to be your cheapest way to go. Next. Okay, so this, I'm assuming that this works, but I haven't tried this yet. We're going to do it right now. So sorry for the tiny screenshot here, but on the right you see the video that this was addressing. This question came in: can you autofocus while in manual focus mode? And I showed how you can do that. We're going to take another look at it because fmrl production says doesn't work in 10-bit modes though, right? And I thought, well, that can't be right. I'm sure it works in 10-bit mode. So I am going to do this right now. We're going to give this a try, fire this thing up, and try it manually, try it live, and see what happens. So the feature, and before I go into 10-bit, let me just show you how this works. Let me get my display up here, and we want to be in manual focus mode. Right, that's the question, right? It's autofocus while in manual mode, yes. Okay, let me get this filter off of here, get a little more light coming in, and I will fire up the screen for you in just a moment. I muted you. How did that happen? Let's go. Are we on? We are on. There. Okay. So here's the camera. Let me put this on a little mini tripod here. Someone was asking about this little mini tripod the other day. I still love this little thing. This is always on the camera with the belt, little belt clip, the Spiderlight holster, and the Manfrotto. I always forget the model. There it is. MP3BK. Fantastic name. The Pocket MP3BK. Tripod. Love it. Okay, back to this. So I am in manual focus mode right now. I'm going to position the, well, if I do that, it's going to focus. How do I want to do this? Let me see. I'll put the focusing point in the middle. And let's see here. I need to point at something closer. Let's just go up to the mug. Okay, so the mug is clearly not in focus. I'm in manual focus mode right now. I haven't manually focused it. I'm going to now push the autofocus button on the back of the camera, and that causes it to focus in. Okay, so that's now I'm in regular 8-bit shooting mode. So he's saying it doesn't work in 10-bit. So let's find out. Let's go to record quality, and I'm going to set this to 10-bit. So let's go full on UHD. So 4K 10-bit 30p. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to manually focus it elsewhere, and now point it at the mug, hold the button down, and it focuses perfectly, as I would expect it to do. So that, being in 10-bit is not a problem there, so not quite sure why that wouldn't work for him. However, someone did point out that you have to have that button set to do manual focus. So let me find that real quick. I'm going to find it momentarily, and then I'll show you where it is. Because maybe it's not the default setting. I don't recall what the default setting is for this, but we're going to find out real quick here. So if I go to, I think it's an operation. Well, you can just take a look at what I'm looking at here. May as well get that up. So I'm looking for, wait, can I do this? Is that, yes, that is set up for that, sweet. So I'm looking for the control of that AF button. Let's go for, well, let's just start at the top. Lock. It's not lock, AF, EF lock. Oh no, that is the button. Oh yeah, there we go. That's the right button. Oh wow, that was quick. Okay, so go to the custom wrench menu. That's the wrench with the C. Go to focus, release, shutter, and then go to AF/AE lock. What that is referring to is the button on the back here. Where's my close-up camera? Let's get this into view. Camera's totally off center there, but that's okay. Close-up camera. There we go. That is, sorry, it's not focused. It's a little bit too close. Perhaps. There we go. See the AF/AE lock button right there? That's the button that this is referring to. So what does that button do? And if we go back to this view here, you can see that I have it set to autofocus on. So you can do either AE lock, AF/AE lock, or AF on. That's something also called back button focus. When you push the button on the back and it makes it focus. That may not be the default setting for it. It probably isn't, actually. The default is probably AF/AE lock. Sorry, I don't recall, but apparently you need to set it to AF on. In fact, let's try it. Let me put it to AF/AE lock. Now I'm in manual focus mode. Let's go back to the full screen here. I'm in manual focus. I get it close to here. I push the button. Right, and it's not focusing. Okay, so that makes sense. So that's what you have to do. So I neglected to explain that when I showed this feature before and answered the question for that video. Now pushing the back button, it does focus on there. So there you go. So that's why. So it wasn't 10-bit mode. I would wager fmrl Productions that the problem was that that was not set in the settings there. So there you go. Hopefully that helps and gets you working the right way. All right, next question. This was related to a video I did quite a while ago on how to add a wireless mic, specifically the Sennheiser mic pack, to an iPhone. The problem, to a modern iPhone, the problem of course being that they ain't got no headphone jack on here. So in that video, I go through all the connectors and adapters that you need. It's kind of ridiculous, but you need them. But the question here is there a way to connect the Sennheiser with the laptop and use it with your webcam? And I would say, well, yes, there certainly is. However, you do still need an additional piece of hardware. The problem is at some point years ago, I don't remember when, but it's been a long time, Apple stopped including a microphone port on the laptops. I don't know why. I think they used to be a combo port, a microphone slash headphone, I don't know. If you plug in a, what do you call it, the Apple headphone jack, Apple headphone thing, then that jack becomes a microphone port, right, on that. But otherwise, it's basically the same type of port that is on here. So there's two ways that you should be able to do this. One I know will work, and one is a theory. And I'm sorry I haven't tested this, but this is what I would try. So either you can buy an adapter that will take you from the, where did I put that cable? Is it here? Larg. The Sennheiser mic, great, I'm gonna have it in there. Anyway, the Sennheiser mic cable output is just a standard 1/8" jack that you plug into your camera, plug into anything, and off you go. If you look at it, it is going to be a TRRS, most likely adapter. The microphone part of that band is not going to line up with the microphone part of the band inside of the computer, the same as it wouldn't on your phone if you have an iPhone 6S or earlier where it's still got a microphone port. If you plugged it in, it still wouldn't work. You need to have an adapter that adapts it to TRRS. And the company that makes it that I live and die by their gear is RØDE. And so let me just do this. Let me go to the B&H website real quick again. And I'll show you the adapter that you want. I don't recall the model number, but we're going to find out very soon here. RØDE TRRS. It's actually TRS. Well, that's right there. Nope, that's the wrong way. TRRS. Let's do this. SC4, this is the one. This is the one you want, the RØDE SC4. Again, we'll link to this down below, $15 adapter. The black end is just a regular 3.5mm or 1/8" jack, and then the gray end, the one that goes into your phone, is what it's designed for. But I think this would still work with your computer, is a TRRS. TRRS. That's tip, ring, sleeve. So that adapter should do it. If that adapter doesn't do it, or just jump straight to this because it's cheaper, I had it. Where'd it go? There it is. Is to use one of these. This is part of the setup that I used for that same configuration that I did the video on. This is a USB adapter with a microphone and a headphone port on it. These are about $10. They're super cheap. And this, let me get a close-up here. I really need to reposition my close-up camera. There we go. This one is called Aki. I think I bought 2 of these on Amazon, 2 different brands, just in case one didn't work because they're super cheap. You see it's got you can just see the symbol on there, microphone and a headphone jack. So you plug this USB, obviously, into your computer, and then you've got a dedicated microphone and headphone jack on there. And that's all there is to it. And then your Sennheiser or any microphone you plug into it should work perfectly fine. This is all, I mean, I won't call it theoretical. That's what it's designed for. I didn't actually test it for this video, but it has to work. That's what it's for. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay, I know I'm doing all the questions here and I haven't hit the comments in a while. I will come to the comments after I do the last question here. How many more do I have? Okay, 2 more. Okay. Oops. Play that back. Okay. So this question is related to a video about editing 4K 60p on the iPad using LumaFusion. I'm gonna get the right name. What's going on my computer? My laptop. Stop. Oh, good crying out loud! My iPad is being finicky. Stop it. Luma. I want to get, yes, LumaFusion. That's the app. So if we look back at if we look at the iPad, oh, it's not plugged in. Anyway, the LumaFusion app. That's the video editor on the iPad that I was using when I did that video. So the question here is, I'm wondering what format of your video is. So there was 4K or UHD, Ultra HD 60p, coming off the GH5. Dewey says, I have a Sony A7, which records AVC HD 1080p 60i, 1080i 60, which I would imagine, I haven't tested it because I certainly haven't shot in 1080i 60, I would imagine that LumaFusion would handle that just as well. Although, why you'd shoot an interlace right now, I don't know. There's no good reason to shoot interlace unless you're doing broadcast television where they specifically want interlace. Interlace is pretty much gone. Digital broadcast is all progressive. That's P. The I versus P. I is interlace. P is progressive. Interlace, you've seen this before. You look at an old YouTube video that someone transferred from a television show and you see all the lines. Like all your edges are jaggy edges. They all have these lines like this. Instead of being smooth, it's like this. That's interlacing. It's a hideous thing, but it's easy to de-interlace. Every video editor in the world, well, pro video editor, has a de-interlace option, and it just does a shifting of the fields to make them line up. So if somebody puts a YouTube video up that's got interlacing, man, that's some sloppy work. Anyway, I don't know why you'd shoot 1080i these days. I really don't. Maybe someone can tell me why you still need to, but I have no idea. So first point is, with the A7, please shoot it in 1080p 60, and that's going to be a better thing. I'm assuming the A7 shoots 1080p 60. I have no idea. Anyway, then the rest of the question says, may the Lightning to SD cable transfer AVC HD files to the iPad Pro? So that could be the bigger part of the problem, is that it's AVC HD. AVC HD is a more compressed, smaller file format, but it requires a lot more processing power to edit. So odds are that LumaFusion can't handle AVC HD. That would be my guess. So on that camera, Sony A7, that's a high-end camera, right? Switch it over to MP4 or MOV mode, which I'm sure it has, I'm hoping. I mean, Sony's, it's a good camera, it's got to have that, right? So that should solve the problem. And then you would be able to transfer your files over. At the last part of the question, Dewey is asking, where does the iPad store the video? So when you're ingesting footage from your camera using the Lightning to SD card reader, whether it's stills or video, whatever, they're just going into the camera roll. But here's the thing you have to be aware of. If you have iCloud library, iCloud photo library, whatever it's called, turned on, which most of you probably do because this is how you synchronize between your iPad and your phone and your computer, and it's all this one big happy ecosystem family. It's super cool. The video files that you load on there will eventually get pushed up to the cloud. And once they're on the cloud, they will be removed from your device locally, especially if they're really big files and especially if you haven't used them in a while. So this is all fine and good because when you want to see the file, you tap it, it downloads it, and you're ready to go. What you have to be aware of, though, and unfortunately there is no good solution to this, but what you have to be aware of is if you decide that you're going to edit on, I don't know, let's say on the plane on the way home from your trip to Sweden for a week where you shot a bunch of video, copied it all onto here, and you're excited to edit your movie on the plane on the way home, the files are no longer there, and you can't edit, and you're done. End of discussion. Until you're back on a high-speed connection, you cannot get your videos back. And yeah, that's right. That's what happened to me on my trip. I had loaded all my video clips onto the iPad. It's the only device I brought with me. That all worked perfectly. It was all in Photos. And then before I went to get on the plane, I was just kind of pulling up a couple files and realized, oh no, almost all of the videos have been uploaded to the cloud, pulled off the iPad, and I've got nothing here to edit with. And with the airport's Wi-Fi, I didn't have enough bandwidth to download everything that I needed. So I couldn't edit my video. And I still haven't edited it, and I probably never will at this point because, you know, that was like a month ago. Who wants to look at that? So super annoying. The problem, the only solution that I know of is to simply turn off iCloud Photo Library, but that's a pretty crappy solution because you still want the whole syncing thing. Apple has not given us a way to say, no, keep this file local. Super annoying. This is something that Lightroom, obviously we're out of the video world here, but Lightroom Mobile does really well, is you can tell a album, a collection, to keep the high-res versions local so it doesn't offload them. So you can edit on the plane or, you know, whenever you don't have a connection. So super bummer, but that is something you really, really, really have to watch out for. Okay, last question is from Nick MacArthur, or MacArthur, oops, wrong one. Nick MacArthur says, is it normal for you to have fewer stabilization options when you're at a higher VFR, variable frame rate, such as Full HD 120 frames per second? Or could that have anything to do with the new firmware 2.0 update? So I looked at this quickly, briefly before, but we're going to find the answer together here. So the issue is, the question here is, let me put this back up and get this up on screen. I am, see, let's bring this up like so. Let's bring up the menu. So I am, where is my video still at 60 or 10-bit? Where am I at? I'm at 4K 10-bit. Okay, well, that's fine. 4K 10-bit 60 or 30. I want to look at my stabilization options. I've saved these into my menu settings, so I don't remember exactly where these are normally, but it doesn't matter. So you find your stabilization options. Operation menu, you've got the hand and then the off, and this is a like vertical only. I've never quite figured out where that works. I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. But anyways, these are your standard stabilization options. Then you have E-stabilization, IS lock, which is a new feature, and anamorphic video, which is a new feature as well. These, by the way, we'll get into these later, but this is IS lock, which mostly works on long lenses when you're shooting video, and then anamorphic video, if you're shooting with an anamorphic, depending on your adapter, you have options there. Okay, cool. Now, he's saying when you're in VFR, you have fewer options. So what I'm seeing is here is the main option or off, and then 3 others. So 4 different options in there. So now let's go ahead and go into a mode where I can enable VFR. And let's see here, let's go, there we go, VFR available, cool. So that's on, let's go and turn on variable frame rate, that is on, and let's take it all the way up to 60 for this particular setup. And now I go back into the menu, let's look at the stabilization settings, and okay, E-stabilization is currently off, that is not available. The standard one is still available, that's your hardware stabilization, and otherwise these both are on, or rather available as well. So the only one that we're losing is E-stabilization. So let's talk about what that actually is and whether it should matter and why it might be going away. So VFR, variable frame rate, you're shooting higher frame rate. One of the nice things about it, just regardless of what you can or can't do in the camera, one of the nice things about shooting VFR is that your movement, your subtle movements or your little bumps, because you're playing something back at half the speed or a quarter of the speed that it normally was, those little jostles or little handheldednesses will be smoothed out just because it's taking longer. So this becomes this, or even this, right? Super smooth and subtle. So those motions, little bit of motions, aren't really relevant. You're not going to see them. So that's one of the great things about shooting VFR, handheld. You're going to smooth out any handheld bumps you're getting anyway. Electronic stabilization, the E-stabilization video option. I have this off normally because I've found that if you combine the hardware stabilization, that's the mirror moving, along with the lens moving, if you have a lens that has stabilizers, you've got dual IS going. If you combine that with electronic stabilization, it's too much. It doesn't look natural anymore. So I found that turning off the E-video stabilization and just using the in-body gives me in-body on lens, the hardware stabilization, is a much better, smoother, happier result. So there's that. As far as why E-stabilization video is not available while you're recording 1080p or whatever frame rate at VFR, I don't know for sure, but my guess is going to be processing power. The processing power required to shoot VFR is much higher than not shooting VFR, and so that might be one of the things that just gets turned off because you don't really need it, right? Because you're smoothing it out, you're slowing it down, you're going to get smooth anyway. You still have the hardware stabilization, so it's just that one level that's dropped off. Again, I'm assuming, don't know for sure, but I'm assuming it has to do with processing power, and frankly, I'm not going to miss it. So if, for Nick MacArthur, who asked the question, if you're seeing like no stabilization options, then something else is going on. But as you saw in there, I have everything available except for that E-stabilization. So I hope that helps. Okay, that was the last question. So now I'm finally going to go through the comments, everybody. I'm sorry I didn't kind of go back and forth like I normally do. I just know I had a lot of ones here that I wanted to get into. So let's go into the comment view and see what happens. Let's see here. We hit that already. Audio muffled due to beard. Yeah. Okay, F-Tonic says, can you revisit going back to doing Affinity shows? I kind of finished the Affinity stuff. That's all done. So if there's a specific Affinity photo feature that you want me to highlight that I missed, let me know. You can message on here. It'd be better to put a comment on one of the videos, either on the PhotoOps.expert website or here on YouTube. But I kind of wrapped that up. So. Oh, okay, so you're looking for tips and techniques according to the voice in my ear. The tips and techniques thing. I think I need to use it more. See, here's the problem with doing all this training that I do. I will learn an app enough to do the training on it. I'll use it enough to know what I'm talking about, but then I may not incorporate it into my daily workflow because I have so many apps that I work with. And Affinity Photo, I've been using on desktop, I use it every day. And I've kind of shown throughout the course of that training, I was integrating tips in along with the training. So I'd say, this is a feature that I love, here's why I love it, here's how I use it in my personal workflow. But beyond that, I don't know that I have any other tips to offer at this point. So sorry, it's not the answer you're looking for, but if you watch the entire training course, you're going to pick up a lot of tips just because that's the way that I do the training. It's not like feature A does this, and when you drag this, it's a lot more than that. We do talk about technique in there quite a bit as well. So hopefully that helps. All right, APN TV, good morning to you too. Espen Goldsmo says, can you talk about the IS lock video? Hey, look at that. What a coincidence. I just did. Pardon me, Bollock says, saw you had a chance to check out the Metabone Sigma combo. How was it? Review coming soon. Yes, Bollock, I loved it. It was very cool. I need to look a lot more closely at it, and I will be, now that I've seen it and kind of more inspired. I wish it was cheaper. It's like $650 for the Metabones adapter, but I will have to do that for sure. Jake, you like the longer shows. Well, Jake, thank you very much. Dave Del Studio put version 2 on my firmware update on my GH5, and his Panasonic promised the GH5 like a 12 to 60 white balance losing IS problem is fixed. Excellent. This is an obscure problem that I could not reproduce, but Panasonic was able to on certain occasions where IS image stabilization was getting turned off after custom white balance. I'm super happy to hear that that's been fixed, Dave. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for confirming that. Amateur Media Group, what do you think about the color in the GH5 version 2? Has anyone tried the new tethering? So color, I haven't seen any differences in color. If you're talking about the HLG, the hybrid lock gamma shooting, I haven't done anything with that yet, so I can't respond to that. But there shouldn't be any differences in color shifts between version 1 and version 2. I love the way the camera looks, the image looks. I mean, I've been shooting Lumix for a long time, so that look is home to me, it's comfortable to me, and I really like it. So other than that, I'm going to tell you, I think it looks awesome. Let's see here. John Morby won't ship to the UK. Must be talking about B&H and that microphone. That is a drag. Trevor, have you sunk your teeth into the gorgeous 400 megabit all-inter codecs yet? I have not yet. I have not. Achita says, oh, sorry, and the question earlier was about tethering. Has anybody tried it? Yes, I've tried it enough to do some brief demos on it. First time I tried it was in the airport. And then on Saturday, I was at Image 1, 2 days ago. I was at Image 1 in Riverside, California. I live streamed that whole event, and in there I do some tethering, and I talk a lot about tethering. It's actually the first thing that I talk about in there. So if you haven't seen that, we'll link to it up here. That event was a lot of fun, and that was a whole live. It was like an hour and a half or so of me just kind of presenting to an audience all the new features in the GH5 version 2. So you may want to check that out. It's not this kind of quality because we don't have the close-up camera and everything. We certainly don't have the switching over to this, but it's me and there's a big TV behind me. Hopefully it's enough you can see what's happening in there. All right, John, if PhotoJoseph was still going to Oaxaca, yes, then I could have collected from him while I was there. Well, you weren't. Oh, right, you're going to go to Oaxaca. You're being in Mexico as well. Anyway, yeah, unfortunately that trip had to get canceled. Sad. Chicha says, don't forget to calculate for T-Shop in real MOFT bokeh, Micro Four Thirds bokeh. So yeah, there's calculations. It's complicated enough going from Micro Four Thirds to what the full frame equivalent is, but then you add in the metabones thing and it gets really messy. And I'm not sure which order to do the math in, but I'll figure all that out before I do a show on it. Marvin says, I have an old Canon lens which is a bit tight. What can I use as a lube to hopefully ease it up? Nothing you can do. Send it to Canon. That's it. Do not try and do any kind of lubrication to your lens yourself. Oh, good. Espen is saying, you have the Vedros lens get smoother over time. Well, that's excellent. So who was it that was asking about that? That was Osho Productions. So Osho Productions, Espen says that Vedros lens does loosen up, smoothen up over time. Thank you for telling me that. That's awesome. Marvin CPA says, my Panasonic 15 Leica is super smooth. Loving it a lot. Yes, it is super smooth. And I agree. I've had that lens for years now. I love it. Wado Media says, what do you think we can expect from a Vimeo plus live stream merge? Any thoughts for Mevo users? No, I don't have any thoughts on that other than I actually haven't even read the releases yet, but I guess Mevo will probably start live streaming to Vimeo. I think that I would guess, I didn't put any thought into this obviously because you just asked the question. I would guess that this is Mevo, not Mevo, this is Vimeo's way. Vimeo's way of getting into the live streaming game. Vimeo does not right now have a live stream solution. I can't live stream to Vimeo like I'm live streaming to YouTube right now. So I would guess that this is their way of saying, we don't want to develop this all on our own. Let's get together with a company that can do this and incorporate that together. So first we have to see live streaming to Vimeo. And who knows, maybe the only way to live stream to Vimeo to start will be from a Mevo. Vimeo, Mevo. Say that 5 times fast. So that's what I would guess, but other than that, I don't really know. But it's interesting. These things are always interesting. Michael Simmons, are the Rokinon lenses as bad as some cinematographers say they are? I've never used them. I've heard some people say they really like them though, so I wouldn't be too quick to jump on them being bad. As always, you gotta understand too that when it comes to especially cinematographers, we're talking people who are used to working with really, really high-end gear. And a Rokinon is a lower priced third-party lens, and it may not have the quality that they're used to when they're used to shooting with $30,000 lenses. So, be realistic about your expectations. If you're coming from any normal batch of lenses, I'm sure they're fine. Again, I haven't used them, but I know that some people do speak highly of them. But that's all I've got for you. Sorry. XT500C says, I'm considering purchasing a Panasonic Lumix G85. Superb camera. Is it still wise to invest in Micro Four Thirds camera equipment? Why wouldn't it be? I read that it might be on its way out. I don't know where you read that, my friend, but absolutely not. Micro Four Thirds is here to stay. The GH5, of course, being a prime example of that. G85 is a great camera. It's a very nice camera, so you will be happy with that investment for sure. Marvin, I was asking Ryan to make adjustment to the picture-in-picture. He doesn't have control over that. That's all here. And it's not something I can do quickly and easily, so I just have to move out of the way when I do that sort of thing. Sorry. I have to be better at that. XT500C then asks, which Micro Four Thirds lenses would you recommend for recording top-down video content, printed text, and electronic circuits? Oh, interesting. On a workbench surface. That's a good question. Top-down. If it's out of height, if it's up high like this and you don't have to worry about macro lengths, then it just depends on how close you want to get. You don't need shallow depth of field, because that's going to be working against you. So you're probably not going to want to shoot wide open on like a 2.8 or something. You will want to make sure that the lens won't drift. If you're using a zoom lens, that is not going to drift with the weight. Remember, these lenses are not designed to shoot this way. That's not a use case that the engineers really think about. Now, this lens here, there's no, the moving elements are all internal, and this is quite a stiff lens, so I would be confident saying I could hang this here for a decade and it would not drift. If you grab a lens like the 100 to 300 or 100 to 400 where the lens actually physically moves, that one will absolutely drift if you hang it upside down or hang it pointing down. Now the 100 to 400 does have a lens lock on it, so that will lock that into place. So that's something you could think about as well. If you don't have to use a zoom though, then don't, but obviously it could be convenient so that you can zoom in if you got a little thing and then you want to go wider, you can zoom out, so that may be something you want to consider. So I can't say which lens to use offhand, but if you're going to be hanging down like that, make sure that the zoom is either lockable or stiff enough that you don't feel like it's going to move, and preferably all internal like this 8-18. Those external ones, by far, in my experience, are much more likely to drift out, hanging down just because of the weight on them. So that's something to consider as well. If you need to do top-down closer, like say you're putting the camera like this to do things, then you're going to want one of the macros. So the 30mm or the 45mm macro would be what you should be looking at. And that's what I got for you. Hannibal says, what mic are you currently using to broadcast now? Sennheiser, what is this thing? This is total standard, go-to, everybody's got it. The EW100G3, super common broadcast, like everything mic, everybody uses these. They're rock solid, they're awesome. They're not cheap, they're still $700 or $800, but as we saw earlier, B&H is having a fantastic sale for the next 10 hours or so. Let me pull that back up again because that was just insane. Oops, hit quit, bravo. Which would be, I don't think the sound would be any different than this, but it is, oh, did I close that? Darn it. I don't think the sound would be any different than this, but certainly convenience-wise, it's a really great solution. Let me pull this back up again. That was just too cool to not talk about one more time. Where's my history? Sennheiser, here we go. This guy here. So that is something I would very, very much be looking at. Now, what I don't know, this is interesting. So this is XLR. Oh, great. Bravo. So that is XLR as far as I know. I wish they had a rear side of that. I don't know. Anybody who's got this, let me know. Can you hook this up to a non-XLR receiver? There's got to be. Or there's got to be a way to do that. That would be, let's see if it says in here. Body pack, lavalier, plug and play. It just says XLR receiver there. Oh, there's another picture. No, none of them show the back of it. This is a really good point. I don't actually know if you can adapt this to not be XLR. Here it says, AVX mini jack. Works with the 100, 300, 500 Evolution series, as well as the AVX series transmitter, so that's cool, so you can mix and match. I don't know if that means that you can use it on a regular camera without XLR. That's a really, really good question. Compact design directly with XLR on your camera. If anybody knows, please tell me in the comments right now, and I'll look up in a moment. Powers on off automatically. Interesting. Oh, wait, here we go. XLR to 1/8" DSLR adapter cable. Okay, perfect. There you go. Whew. So it does include that. That is something that you'll want to have for that. So, okay. So back to the question, which mic am I using now? Sennheiser. This is the upgrade to that. That deal, just in case you missed that part of it, so it is currently October the 2nd at 10:30 a.m. and you have 10.5 hours left to take advantage of this deal. This is an unbelievable price. I don't know why the fire sale on these. If they're coming out with a brand new one that's got twice the range and twice the audio quality, I don't care. This is an amazing price for a fantastic microphone pack. So if you can get it, if you need a mic, if you need a pair of them, that's almost two for the price of one. Just rock. Awesome. Get it. Okay. Joshua says, is there no way to do any sort of bracketing when using 6K photo mode? Correct. Because 6K photo is essentially video, right? It is video, usually shot without audio depending on the mode you're in, and is shot 4:3 aspect ratio at a higher shutter speed than you would normally shoot video in, and shot in HEVC. That's it. Otherwise it's video, so no, there's no bracketing for 6K photo. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? SkateTube, is there any way to have Vlog on any Lumix non-GH4, GH5 like a GX8? No. Vlog is a pro feature that is for the pro cameras. Next, Marvin says, Marvin's telling someone how to ask me a question. Yes, very true. Put at PhotoJoseph. Hey, thank you, Albert Campbell, for the $2 contribution. I appreciate that. If anybody else is wondering how he did that, down here, you see the little dollar sign down there. If you click on that, then you too can help keep the show on the air, and I would appreciate it. Oh, he's got a question with it. Excellent. Okay, well, I'll get down to that in a moment. There we were. It was there, and Murat says, what kind of PC Mac requirement do I need for anything? Well, I'm working on 3- and 4-year-old Macs editing 4K 60p footage, no problem. I can also edit the 10-bit footage, no problem. So any Mac made within the last few years should be good. Getting up to the 400 megabit might be a little bit different. I haven't tried it. It might be a little chunky on my computer, but maybe not. I don't know. Kevin Wright, deinterlacing gets seriously hard because different frames still come from different times. It's not just overlaying odd and even lines. There's some tricky interpolation too. Okay. Well, just don't shoot deinterlaced. Oop. No, scrolled off again. Someone just said they would watch my holiday video. I'd like to watch it too, frankly. Albert had a question. Albert, again, thank you very much. Albert says, I have a GH5 and bought a manual focus wide angle lens, 7.5 millimeter. Ooh, super wide, nice. When I attach it, it says current focal length setting, 46 millimeter, change the setting, yes or no? How do I know what to set it to? Very good, okay. So what he's talking about is, how can I show this? I can just take the lens off. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take the lens off, so there's no lens on the camera. And let me get, so I'm going to turn the camera off. This is, you know what, I can't, if I do the output, it won't sync up in time for you to see it. So let me put this up here, close-up view, and come on, focus. It's hard to focus on a blank black screen. There it goes, okay, and close-up camera. Right, so I've got no lens on here. I turn it on, and it's going to pop up a message, current, which went away very quickly. That's because of the HDMI. Let me turn that off again. Current focal length setting, 25 millimeter. Do you want to change the setting? Yes or no? Okay, first of all, if you get this dialog, when you get this up, you don't have to hit no, you can just hit the shutter button halfway and it dismisses it. So here's what that message means and why it's there. It is on there because it does not sense a lens. It cannot, or even if it knows there's a lens there, it cannot determine the focal length of that lens. So it's asking you to set it manually, and it is going to be set to whatever it was last set to. Why does this matter? It matters for the image stabilization. How the sensor moves during image stabilization is dependent on the actual focal length, right? On a wider field of view, wider millimeter lens versus a telephoto lens, that is going to move differently. I don't honestly know how differently, but it's going to move differently. So the camera needs to know, if you're using image stabilization, what focal length lens you're using. So this comes up when you don't have a lens on there and you turn it on, or you put on a lens that doesn't have all the electronic contacts. So, you know, if we look at the back of the lens on here, you of course have all these electronic contacts in there. All those contacts are communicating all kinds of fabulous information to the camera. If the lens you're using is a mechanical lens or an old lens that just doesn't have that data isn't there, so the camera doesn't know it's on there. So that's why it's asking. As far as what you should set it to, you set it to the focal length of the lens, not your 35 millimeter full frame equivalent, but what the lens actually says on it. So for example, the only lens that I have, that I don't have it here with me, but the only lens that I have that's like this that I use all the time is my Zhongyi 25 millimeter f.95 lens. So that's why when mine came up, it said 25 because that's what it's always set to. So whenever I power up the camera and that lens is on there, it asks me that question. Again, you don't have to navigate to know, you just tap the shutter halfway and it dismisses, but that's what that is for. So the question being, what do you set it to? You should set it to 7.5, which, let's see, can you set it to 7.5? Oh, and by the way, let me find, plug this back in. I want to look at this properly. Let me find where that setting is in the camera, because I actually don't remember. If you're working with a he says Albert's on a GH5, so that's good. But if you're with a non-GH series camera, actually, I think even the GH4 still had this, but the GH5, you don't have to tell the camera that it's okay to shoot without a lens. In pretty much every other Lumix camera, as far as I know, there's an option in the menu that says shoot without lens, yes or no. The reason that's there is because most people would never put on a lens that isn't going to communicate with the camera. So if the camera thinks there's no lens there, it's probably because there's no lens there. And so you don't want to have a lens off, push the button, and take a bunch of pictures. So shoot without lens is by default disabled. So if there's no lens, you can't take a picture. However, if you're going to put a mechanical lens on there like I was talking about, then you have to enable the feature to shoot without a lens. Say yes, because otherwise the camera thinks there's no lens, even though there is, and it doesn't take a picture. On the GH5, that option doesn't exist. It's just always on. It's, you know, they figure this is a pro camera, it's on. It's just on. So you can't even turn it off. But you can still change the focal length either when it boots up or inside of the camera settings. So let's do this, and that was weird. Let's try that again. Why did it go off to the side like that? I have no idea what just happened. Oh, well, I don't care. Okay, if I go to shutter, operation, lens, maybe lens, and then profile resume, no. Of course, it's not going to be anywhere obvious. Let's see if I can just find it here quickly. I'm looking for a number on the right side. No, maybe it's not even under those. Maybe it's under, no. Okay, bravo. No, okay, it probably is under here somewhere. not going to be exposure. Focus release shutter. Oh, maybe it's under stabilization settings. Oh, let's just go through these. Shutter half press out of a quick AF, pinpoint, focus loop. This is very exciting television. I'm very aware of this. Okay, honestly, easiest way to get to it, take the lens off the camera, turn it off and back on again, and then you can set it to whatever you want. That's what I'm going to do now because I'm tired of doing this already. So let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, face it towards you guys, and turn this off and back on. It comes up. I'm going to say change setting, yes. And you can see here I have complete control down to the millimeters. So he said 7.5, so you go, oops, no, that would be 0. So you go here and you go 7.5. This is more granular than we've ever had before. You've never had this level of granularity. On most cameras, I think it was a preset selection of something like, and I can set this back so I don't screw myself up, of like 10 common choices, not even that many, 2 common choices or something. But there you go, you set that, and now it's set and ready to go. But now you can do it all the way down to like the 7.5. So that's what you want to set it to, and your image stabilization will be optimized for that lens. It's not to say that if you have it wrong, you can't use the camera. It'll still work, but you'll get better image stabilization performance if you set that correctly. Albert, thank you again for the contribution, and I hope that answers your question. SkateTube says, can Panasonic update destabilization on the GX8 to work on video? I don't understand the question. Can Panasonic, can they update destabilization? I don't mean by destabilization. I'm assuming you mean image stabilization to work on video too. Well, the GX8 stabilizer works on video because it's hardware. The GX8 was the first one that had dual IS. Dual IS works in video, doesn't it? I'm sure it must. If it's not working for you for some reason, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. Copy and paste that question into the comments on this video after it's published so that the comment sticks, because this will go away and I will look into that. But you got to do that. If it's not working for you, don't forget to do it, and then I will look into it. D-Pro Visuals. Excuse me, we're getting a long show here. I got the GH5, but when I want to use it to take pictures, when I select a point to focus on to take pictures, it adjusts the exposure. I don't know how to fix that. Okay. Sounds like you are in spot metering. Sounds like you're in spot metering. One of the really cool things about these cameras is that the spot meter is tied to your spot focus. So you touch an area to focus, and it also meters off of that if you're using spot metering. So let me find this. Let's go here. And actually, no, I think I'm probably going to have to go this full view here. Let me bring up the metering. Where's my metering? Oh, no, this will work here. I can do it like this. So metering is, and this is my custom quick menu. I'm using the custom one, so I get more options in there. There's the metering. So you've got either multi, center weighted, or spot. You probably have it set to spot. And now you see, can you see the little blue crosshair top left? As I move the focus point around, so if I can move the focus or move it by hand, that crosshair changes with it. So as I point it at a darker area, well, I'm in full manual exposure now, so it's not doing it anyway, but as I reposition that focus point with the meter point, that is going to change the meter reading. If you take it out of that spot metering mode, and just go to, say, multi or center weighted, whatever, then that's not going to happen. It's not tied to the focus point. The spot metering is the only one that is tied to the focus point. So that's probably the issue. So just turn off spot metering, go to regular. Now, if you need spot metering, and you want spot metering and you want spot focusing, then you would have to recompose and shoot. And that's where the back button, this by default AF/AE lock, you would set that to auto exposure lock, point to what you want to meter off of, get a meter reading, press that, and then recompose and focus where you want to focus and shoot. That would be the way to handle that. Or just go manual exposure. That would work as well, of course. So there's that. Dave Cox is saying, have you spotted that the ISO can now be mapped to the rear control dial on the GH5 with version 2? Oh, yes, I have. I love this. I tweeted this on, I think it was on the airplane when I figured this out, and I got really excited and tweeted it because it was like, this is insane. So here, let me show you what he's talking about. Let me get out of Get back into normal shooting mode here. And display mode back up. Sorry, I just got to kind of reset things here so I can do this. And, oh, I mean VFR, that's why I'm not getting the settings I was looking for. Let me turn that off. VFR is off. And, okay, we're good to go. So here's what he's talking about. Actually, first let me show you where to set this. It's so weird the video keeps moving over. It is under operation and dial, no, not dial. Wait, where was it? Did I just pass it? Dial set? It is dial set. No, it's not dial set. Yes, it's dial set. In the very middle of that, control dial. Okay, so backing up, custom C menu, operation, dial set, page 3 of 6, and then the middle one down, control dial assignment. By default, it is set to this, to control your headphone volume. Totally useless. You can set it to control your under and overexposure, but if you're in manual, it'll control the aperture. Under overexposure everywhere. ISO. You can also use it to change your focus frame size, whatever. ISO. This is huge. This is enormous. I love this. So that's on. So now I have one-touch control. I'm not really see it here, but no, oops, sorry, wrong button. How am I going to show this best? Okay, you can see down at the bottom left, there's my aperture, and then my thumb dial is going to change my shutter speed or shutter angle, and then the control dial, you see over on the right now, is going to control my ISO. This is a beautiful thing because it means that I do not have to hit the ISO button and then do that. I've got one touch, control the ISO. So in full manual, aperture, get my thumbs in the right place, so aperture, shutter or angle, shutter speed or angle, and then ISO. Huge. Love it, love it, love it. Super happy to have that. Makes it a lot easier to shoot manual and adjust your exposure based off your ISO. Very handy indeed. So yes, saw that. Very happy about it. D Pro Visual says, can you please do a video on how to take pictures with the GH5? I could be a little bit more specific. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Yeah, specifics, please. XQ720, I got a G85. I can't download 4K videos with the iOS app. Why? I can wait. Is that right? I have to look into that. I think it depends on how you're set to record video. If you're set to DVC Pro HD, it's probably not going to be able to transfer. I thought you could transfer over 4K if you're shooting an MOV or MP4. I'd have to try it. I don't want to get the whole thing connected right now, but make sure you're not in DVC Pro HD. Do that first. XQ, do that first. If that is not the problem, if you switch it over to MOV and you still can't, as I told the earlier person, just take your question and drop it into the actual comments of this video once it's posted, and I will take a look into it. You might be right. Maybe you just can't do 4K. It's too big, but I thought you could, so I'd have to look into it. John Warby, yes, there's an adapter to give you 3mm. Ooh, that shows how far behind we are. That was the question about the microphone pack there. Okay, just a few more. Oh, great. Where were we? This turned into an AMA. Where was it? Okay, we got XCube. It says, I'm thinking of getting a portrait lens for the G85. Any recommendations? Yes, the 42.5mm f1.2. Amazing lens. Not cheap, but best you can get. How do Olympus lenses compare with Panasonic? I've never done side-by-side, so I can't tell you, but the Panasonic Leica lenses are kind of best in class, so I think you'd be good at that. Are the Olympus good at focusing? They're going to be better at focusing on Olympus bodies, most likely. Usually, Panasonic lenses with Panasonic bodies are going to give you the best performance, but that may not be a universal truth. It may depend lens to lens, and I can't tell you offhand. Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. There's just too many other questions. Save your questions for another day. We will do an AMA next Monday. Put them into the comments if it's urgent, although I may not get to it faster, but you can put them in the comments. But I got to wrap this up. This has just gone on quite a long time already. Last reminder, if you're going to buy a microphone, if you're in the market for a microphone, don't miss out on this deal. This is a phenomenal deal, and we will link to this down below. We'll put it in the comments as a pinned comment because this is such an exciting thing. Ryan, don't forget that. And we will also put it in the main description. But you only got 10 hours left, and that is a hell of a deal. So if you're in the market for a wireless lab, get that. Just get that mic. Don't even think about it. Just do it. All right, folks. we're going to wrap it up out of here. What do I want to tell you about? Let's see, anything else I want to... No, it's 2 minutes. We're just going to go. We're going to kill it. Thanks, everyone, for coming in today to see the live and very lengthy show. We'll see you back here on Wednesday. Remember, no show on Tuesday. We're going to go straight to Wednesday. See you next time. Bye-bye.